Good morning, everyone, and happy Easter. I'm coming to you today without a script and really a minimal plan except to explain to you the driving imperative behind this channel. You may be wondering why I never show my face. And while I do explain it pretty clearly in my channel's introduction, I can understand if there are still many questions to be had. You have to understand the importance of shirking idolatry. Think of it this way. All of human experience, the very fabric of the human spirit, is the ability to choose. The whole of the reality around us, from the mountains that we can view in the horizon, to the market in which we all reside, to governments, to the buildings we build, to the various products of our labor, it is all built upon a consensus mechanism in order to differentiate reasonable patterns and be able to build something actually useful. This is the nature of human reality. We have free will, and we decide where we're going to give that free will, to what causes, to what beliefs, to what organizational structures and institutions. Unfortunately, this is a requirement if we want to develop a reasonable, coherent consensus mechanism that is the reality around us. The reason this is unfortunate is because of intent. It's very multifaceted, but essentially what it comes down to is breaking down the source code of what we are as human beings. Let's assume, and once more I'm shirking idolatry here by saying let's assume as opposed to this is the reality. But let's assume that the human soul exists, and what it is our ability to choose. If we assume that, then what really is the soul? That's asking, what is free will? It's where you put your energy. It is your principle. It is your mission in life. Giving that up is giving up your intent. It's giving up a sliver, if not all of, who you are. In our reality, we have to do this. We have to give up our ability to choose because of the system we've built around ourselves. And that system, whenever we do give up our free will, is derived from fear. Fear. When you organize a government, no matter how big or small, no matter how well-intended, no matter how frivolous the ideas behind it, you are giving up your free will, at least in some small part, to that government institution out of fear. You want to protect yourselves against those who might do you harm when you have failed to prepare. That's what, for instance, the military is there for. To protect you in the case that you did not have the foresight to see the damage that someone else might have wanted to inflict upon you. This is the essence of government. Any time we give up our ability to choose, we give up a part of ourselves. And the only reason we ever do that, reasonably, is out of fear. And isn't that ironic? Because fear is always explained as to be the essence of being unreasonable. Our choices in life have consequences. Every choice. We give up our ability to choose. Constantly. How do we break this? Well, let us ask ourselves, what is the most fundamental choice, shirking all convolution, all extraneous information, extrapolations, ridiculous notions, patterns that we build to create our consensus mechanism? What is the root choice below it all? It is a choice between fear and love. Let me explain further. Unconditional love is a tautology, for love in itself is unconditional. So basically, you're saying unconditional love. Nevertheless, God, by definition, is love. Love, in order for it to truly be love, you have to respect people's ability to choose. What was the one thing above all else that Jesus Christ, for instance, represented? Unconditional love. And how did he actually exalt unconditional love? He served as the shining example for all human beings to follow. However, they had to choose to follow it. It would have been worthless if he did not respect their free will. Thus, and there is more explanation to this, but for the purposes of this discussion, I'll end it there. Thus, in order for unconditional love to truly be unconditional love, you must respect free will. This is part and parcel to shirking idolatry. Idolatry is giving up your ability to choose and responsibility for said actions to some later time, to some false idol, in the hopes that they know better than you do, out of fear. You give your power up to a false idol, and when you do that, it ties your existence into knots, gets you disorganized, makes you more convoluted, and separated that much more from the essence of your own divinity. Idolatry, and shirking it, is of prime importance, and it is extremely difficult, at least initially. Because, initially, it's very lonely. You have to have sole responsibility unto yourself. You are sovereign over your own will, which is true anyway. You are simply hiding from it. So, when I don't show my face, and yet I explain to you that shirking idolatry is of prime importance, and what I provide you is a reason, is explanation, and as minimally as I can, avoidance of personal opinion that isn't rooted in strongly organized and well-understood patterns of society. I am doing everything I can on my end to try to help you to see that. To try to help you to shirk idolatry. Why do you think everything is going on in society today the way it is? Why do you think, for instance, in the binary political system that we have in the United States, the Republicans and the Democrats are both exalting what, in one form or another, are absolutely abhorrent individuals to their podiums? More people know about the importance of shirking idolatry than you think. And once more, I cannot give you the information as to how or why this is, because then I would be an idol, even without a face. You have to see the evidence of your own reality around you for yourself. The Democrats have an openly socialist candidate, which goes against all notions of the teachings of Jesus Christ. They also have basically a criminal in Hillary Clinton. This is clear. It's very well known. But in human beings, especially in the United States, inability and lack of desire to shirk the false idols of state, no matter what the evidence against their idols, they will not walk away out of fear. Out of fear. And on the Republican side, we have a bear. We have a person who is very narcissistic, does not really filter his speech in any way, and I'm not saying he should. However, he has his own agenda. It is good that he has no connections to specific corporate interests other than his own. However, he has glaring flaws of his own. This is important, because on both sides, the story is getting ever more strange, weird, convoluted, and honestly, to the average person, scary. Because they don't want to take back their responsibility. They don't want to shirk their false idols. They don't want the responsibility of their own choices and the consequences that may result, out of fear of those consequences. There is not going to be someone that holds every one of your personal beliefs at heart that will ever be at the podium. And this is intentional. This is where the black and white comes into play. Both sides are rabidly insane, and it's binary. The reason is that it juxtaposes both sides together as being unreasonable and not being you. They are not you. Only you can make your own choices in perpetuity. The black is the idol of state. The black and white before was, through the manipulators, attempted to be as gray as possible between the Democrats and the conservatives, the Republicans, because you can be manipulated as easily as possible within a paradigm where there is no separation between what is good and what is wrong. The black and white juxtaposes the ugliness with your own choice. The black and white's pure intent is to help you shirk idolatry, realizing that every individual has their own flaws because they are not you, and they cannot make your choices for you. They can't. This is the black and white. It's all around you. And the starker the juxtaposition between the black side and the white side, the farther and farther apart they are from one another, the clearer the consequences of your actions become. And you steadily take more and more of your personal will back. This is, unfortunately, one of the only ways we figured out how to do this. We have hijacked the source code of the human spirit and free will. The only way to get you to see clearly. A faceless mass must give you the evidence and the reason, and then those with faces must either not have will of their own, or have a will that is so stark compared to yours, you will not submit to it. How is one to have a face and not a will attached to it? That would be God, wouldn't it? How? We're all children of God. We all have free will. Well, we are all the will of God in self-individuated form, purely in convoluted matter. Say, for instance, you meet an angel. The reason an angel is supposed to be God incarnate is they are the will of God without convolution. They do exactly what Source would do. Human beings are convoluted from Source. Out of fear. Out of fear. An angel, if you will, has focused intent. But if they're tied up in the goings-on of standard human society, they will also become convoluted, at least in some small part. The fingerprint of said angels would still be present. It would just be tied up. This is the heart of why human beings are said to be, well, they're charitable actions, or any action for that matter, are said to be as dirty rags when compared to that of Jesus Christ, or of God. The reason this is simply because of our convoluted reasoning, our convoluted choice. It's not actually dirty. It's just self-individuated. The dirtiness, quote-unquote, of it is the very essence of the fact that you have free will. It's not dirty. It's not. It's just not focused. If you can shirk idolatry, you can focus your intent. And guess what I'm going to tell you right here? You can't see my face, so you don't know who I am. Though, now I'll get to that later. So I can tell you this, and you won't attach a will to it. If you can focus your intent, you can actually manipulate the world around you with your intent. I have literally manifested objects with my mind. When I was younger, when I was 3, I manifested a toy car. When I was 9, I manifested a penny. And then I was riding on my bike really fast because I was very excited that I had done it. And I thought in my mind's eye, I'm going to spin out of control on my bike, fly over my handlebars onto the palms of my hands, and I'm going to lose my penny. It said 1 cent on the back. I remember it distinctly. I found it on a driveway, and I remember saying, no way I made that with my mind. There's no way I did that. I went and picked it up, turned it over. Lo and behold, it said 1 cent on the back. Put it in my pocket. Rode my bike, got really fast, spun out of control, flew over the handlebars, onto the palms of my hands, was saying to myself the entire time, no, please don't tell me I lost the penny. I put my hand in my pocket. It was gone. I've actually done that before. If I put a face to this, then I would put an idol to it for you to worship. No. This is for you. If you can untie the knots of your will and shirk idolatry, you can focus your intent and manipulate the world around you in said way. I've done it. The reason I did it when I was younger and I can't do it anymore is because of how convoluted I've become. How convoluted we all have become. I will tell you, however, I don't really hide myself that deeply. The only reason, aside from shirking idolatry, that I don't show my face is to protect myself against individuals who would do me harm. It's just a couple layers of abstraction to filter out the doofuses. And there are a lot of those in the world. Just a couple layers. You really want to find me, it's not that hard. Understand the philosophy of the black and white. Let go of your idols. The only idol that you may be able to hold on to is that of God. Because God is your will. It's the will of all. It is the clearest untied will to which we are all connected. That is why, when you attach a face to an angel, they can't be wrong. Because their will is the will of all. And the will of all will not be self-defeating unless it finally chooses it. And that is the battle between Satan and God. You have to convince everyone to want to destroy themselves. You have to convince everyone to want to destroy themselves. We didn't do that. But now is the process of letting go. You're not alone. None of you. You are not alone.